Chapter 5 has been released, and it's the most lore-filled chapter yet. So massive spoiler warning for those who haven't watched it, before I jump right into it. 3, 2, 1, go! The first episode, Cutie Blossom Bash, was a great start, with a pretty much expected Misty episode. The one where she gets the main change that makes the timeline all confusing. It means that this episode of Make Your Mark is set before all the Telltale episodes where she already has the red main. It immediately starts off strong with letting us know where Sparky is when he isn't on screen. He's at Figgy's. She seems to be their go-to dragon sitter, but more important than that are the Cutie Mark stories. Sunny got hers when helping ponies resolve their conflict, but I don't quite get why it's a shooting star then. Zip gets hers after nerding out about flying and attempting a trick. The tricks give her the lightning bolt. With Rainbow Dash in mind, that reasoning is decent enough. Pip gets a musical note when getting out of her shell and performing. That is probably the most logical one yet. Hitch got a shield for fairness and kindness. That doesn't quite fit. Maybe when standing up and defending his values, but that's a bit of a stretch. Izzy makes sense. She discovered unicycling for herself, so she gets her heart with some needles, representing her creativity. All of them are interesting, but sometimes not that sound stories. Important to note is the tradition of the Cutie Blossom Bash. We have no idea how it came to be. We had the cute Seniera in G4. That tradition independently evolved into the Cutie Blossom Bash, with all 3 pony kinds. It's interesting but not really feasible. It would need to evolve while they are still together. But now we get to Misty. She shows her anxious side. She isn't made for all of this attention at the celebration, and her friends are kinda oblivious to it. But that gives the opportunity to learn from Misty, to stand her ground. You have to set boundaries in friendships, and that's what she's doing, and her friends react perfectly. This small party still makes her feel special, while not being put in the spotlight. Then we get a big lore drop, more Cutie Mark magic when growing the tree, that we are gonna talk about more later. Misty has some kind of special change magic, coming from her Cutie Mark. It was expected that her mark represents ongoing change, but the magic is quite unexpected. This all leads to the decision we all saw coming, her being a double agent for the ponies. A small thing I wanted to mention is Seashell's Cutie Mark. It's a shell, she's as unique as any shell on the beach. That does not explain anything. Also, the Zitch duo in this episode is very cool and efficient. They make a great team in planning the measurements against the rain. But let's move on to the next episode. It's a two-parter. Family trees. Hadn't had a proper one of those in a while. Most of the process in the episode is built on Misty's visions, that show her some hints of her past. I assume that getting a Cutie Mark for change unlocked suppressed traumatic memories about her past. How she got to Opaline and lost her family. We still don't get much clarity about all that, but at least a bit. During that, we get more Bridalwood exploration. We got the same last episode Zephyr Heights. It's good that we aren't staying only in Maritime Bay anymore. We get into everything Misty later. For now, let's focus on the giant reveal of the return of the Breezies. The Breezy realm seems to be in the Wishing Tree now, and they have been sort of locked away in it while magic was gone, but they still had somehow access to pony artifacts at the night market. Maybe they have been there since G4 times. Including the key Misty got. That key only working once is interesting. Magic weirdness, I guess. The key isn't the only thing though. We also get a great way of reintroducing dragons through the dragon footprint. It also reminded me of the Sparky 6 subplot when it gave him a little energy back. They didn't see the dragons, but seeing the Dragonlance again was a treat. And Misty selflessly giving up her key to anywhere for Sparky is a great sign that she wants to learn more, but isn't desperate for it. She wants to go at her own pace. I look forward to exploring the Dragonlands more, even if they look totally different than they looked in G4. We finally get what we've been waiting for. More on Alpha Biddles and Haven's relationship. I'm kidding of course, but it's still important. We get hints at Alfie's troubles when he talks to Haven, but he is slowly opening up to her. Their relationship develops and I love to see it. Same with the reveal that would have been way strong without the spoilery trailer. Alpha Biddle being Misty's father. We theorized it and it would have become clearer throughout the episode, when seeing his silhouette and hearing his young voice. But now we knew already. It's really cool regardless. And I haven't even mentioned Pip trying the phone-free day. It's development she definitely can use. Disconnecting from her community for a while. The last thing I need to talk about is the song, Main Family. For me who just came back from a convention where I met my chosen family and my friends, again after such a long time, this song hit very close. And it definitely was a highlight for me. Father of Bridalwood is the next one, and it gives us so much. Seeing more of Alpha Biddle is amazing on its own. He is a character I wanted to see more of, and the way we get more of him is as a love interest and as a dad. It's amazing. The kinds of relationship I always love to see explored. I appreciate Alpha Biddle's attempt to be a good father, and so does Misty. But what he is trying to do really shows that he isn't aware that his daughter is not a little kid anymore. She grew up, and only after almost a whole day, she makes him realize that. Neither of them had bad intentions, and the whole experience improved their relationship greatly. Especially the incident at the poetry slam. That cracked her, and Onyx and Dapple completely figured out why. Like true analysts. Misty had problems adjusting to this newfound and fragile relationship, which caused her to be socially awkward and overwhelmed once again. That happening is one of the biggest reasons why people like Misty, not liking the spotlight and relating to being socially overwhelmed. Both of them look really happy when spending time with each other in the end, learning more about each other and slowly becoming father and daughter. Even if Misty still can't remember much. And it all ends with her moving in with the main five, making her place in the group even more clear. And can we talk about how adorable T is as a nickname for Misty? So fitting with the T-nerd as a father. She even makes tea for him in the end. Bitterness on the surface, but warm and comfortable on the inside. Their relationship will be amazing to follow along. While this was the biggest part of the episode, it also had some subplots going on. Sunny and Izzy investigating together, and ending up with Elderflower. She was one of the highlights for me. She explains a few things to us. First, through her story about the bats. Let me explain that one to you guys. The bats are the ponies. The one called Dawn is likely Lester Dawn. The one bat not getting along and spreading that is likely Opaline. We see that in the comics. She wants all the magic for herself. Then Lester Dawn talked to someone unknown to trap Opaline in a quote-unquote web. That could have been Twilight, who she called for help. That web likely is the bubble that keeps her out of the pony towns and in the region of her castle. This is the first time we can actually properly theorize on the events around the end of G4, with an info outside of the comics. Elderflower is a full-on history expert, because she can apparently talk to her ancestors? I still want an explanation on that. But one of these ancestors is her great-great-great-great auntie Moondancer. And I want to know if that's our Moondancer. It would give us at least an approximate time frame since G4, with 4 grades in front of that name. Elderflower mentions 2 more interesting things. A hat being from the Carousel Boutique. Rarity's line has persisted through the ages, which is honestly one of the most impressive things we've seen in G5. And then, the story about the Together trees. I'm glad they established them and used them more now. G5 needed their own things. And this is a good way to do it. And these connected trees will be really important later. You'll know about episode 6 anyways, so we'll talk about that then. A few more minor things in this episode were Izzy calling Alphabet dad. That could be a hint at him actually being a father figure for her. She potentially was his replacement for Misty, even if he did it unconsciously. Then Zip was pushing Misty for more info on Opaline. She was insensitive at that point. Pip had a similar issue. She was very invasive towards Misty and Alfie, but learned that she was and backed out. Now we come to the least eventful episode, Main's Melody. I was immediately a bit disappointed because Pip once again took a plant from Bridalwood. At least she kept it low this time. Only some foraging and not robbing it of everything. I'm also very annoyed by most other ponies, especially Jazz. Nobody, absolutely nobody, tells her that her hoof cream stinks. Why do the G5 writers have a thing for disgusting smells? It's funny that it led to their challenge though, showing how their internet culture is the same as ours, making everything into a stupid trend. I don't get how the chronically online Pip didn't see it. Maybe because of the development she got, because of her time without her phone and family trees, combined with her being busy with the release of her product. At least Izzy showed off her knowledge when getting the neutralizer with the pink fizzle, and Just is missing her ears, as it should be. The more interesting part of the episode was Sunny's and Zip's investigation. It's finally showing Sunny's interest in history again, that was buried after the movie. And it discusses Argyle's research that I hoped to see ever since the movie. And the map is exactly what I hoped for, even if I have no idea how he could get such a thing. The map has to be ancient, if it's connected to dragon magic. It's a shame it doesn't show more than that. We figure out it's the map to the Dragonlands in the next episode. I'll talk about that in a bit. For now, let's talk about Argyle's wisdom. The past is something we never stop discovering. I love stuff like this in these shows. Gives me chills. The last part of the investigation that's interesting is Sunny getting that locket from the Breezy. I wanna know what the hell that thing is. They didn't do anything with it. I assume they are keeping it for future chapters though. There's one more subplot in this episode, and that's finally Misty being a spy. She returns to Opaline, and we get some info on what she actually does for her. Taking notes, discussing plans. She's actually a close advisor. Pie charts and graphs that Try would be proud of. During that spying adventure, we learned that dragons were in a slumber while magic was gone, but now they are awake again. Opaline gladly hasn't gotten to the dragons yet, but she plans to. So the main 6 have to move quick. With that, we already reached the last one, Nightmare on Main Street. This episode really made me realize how much time has passed. It's been a year since we saw Nightmare Night episodes in Tale. A year in our world and a year in the pony world has passed. we once again get simultaneously going stories, starting with Hitch. He acts a bit out of character, lying to the citizens to make them participate in his game. He was lucky the gods started disappearing, otherwise he would have had a real problem giving them this prize. The disappearing was random at first, but explaining it through the Together trees was amazing. We have so many of them now. One in Zephyr Heights, Misty grew, one in Bridlewood, with the wishing tree, one in Maritime Bay that grew in Chapter 2, and the one in Opaline's castle, and them being connected is one of the greatest introductions of G5. Finally, their own established thing that isn't Deus Ex Machina. And now Opaline uses them to fast travel. We have yet to see if they are only able to do that on certain occasions like Nightmare Night, or all the time. Later of which would be incredibly scary. It's funny seeing her do it during Nightmare Night though. She is confused by every pony not really fearing her. What she says before traveling confirms another of my suspicions. She was actually trapped. Never could get inside Maritime Bay and the other pony settlements. That's why she always sent Misty. Then she shows something we've all been waiting for. After the toy spoiled that fact at least. Opaline stealing a cutie mark. And of course it's Posies. It's always Posy. Opaline stores a cutie mark in a leaf, similar to how Starlight stored it. Which gives me hope that Chapter 6, Secrets of Starlight, isn't about herself coming back, but about some of her magic being passed onto Opaline. I would be satisfied with that way of including her. The last we see of Opaline is her spying on dragons. And I gotta say, I like the way they look. I'm just a bit sad that we didn't see much of the dragons after the teasing of last chapter. But that just means that there's even more to look forward to in Chapter 6. Adding to that excitement is the map to the Isle of Scaly. Once again, how did Argyle even get such a map? We haven't seen any other dragons close enough to ponies, so it's unlikely he actually ever used it and went to the Dragonlands. Regardless, Dragonlands, I look forward to seeing you again soon. That's the main part of the episode, but there are some smaller things in there too. Starting with the awesome outfits. We see so many cool costumes all over. It's fun to see everyone searching for that golden god, especially Jazz and Rocky. I definitely ship their competitive dynamic. They are so much fun together. They even managed to sprinkle some small lessons in there. Hitch learned that he doesn't need to plan tons of activities for the citizens to enjoy themselves. And Sunny learned that he shouldn't focus too much on the past, and rather make new memories. Even if the traditions include a lot of apple pastries and such. Which makes me fear-wise. What if the Apple family capitalized on Nightmare Night like companies do in our world, and made it all about their food? The Big Apple Conspiracy. That's what my head comes up with at 3 AM when writing this. Overall, this chapter gave us so much in only 6 episodes. It was packed to the brim with lore and I love it. I love the revelations about dragons, as well as Opaline's magic. My highlight was the relationship between Alpha Battle and Misty. Sadly, we got that reveal in the trailer. I'm always gonna be salty about that. But the entire chapter was a joy overall. This show improved so much throughout the chapters. One of my biggest issues was improved on with the songs. They are more story-driven and heartfelt than just random pop. And now G5 is even introducing their own stuff and using it with the Together trees. Which is something completely different than the Trees of Harmony from G4 in my mind. The characters are getting more nuanced too. We see more flaws in each of them, but also follow along while they are learning. For example, Zip's pushiness when investigating that's making Misty uncomfortable, or Pip being intrusive in Misty's and Alfie's relationship. The focus of the show is still very much on Misty, but each of them had their moment to shine too. The balance is getting better. Even Sunny is getting more focus after vanishing in the background for so long. Before I say my closing words, I gotta say something off topic. About Izzy. She's the kookiest character of G5, and I love her sisterly relationship with Misty. This chapter made her rise in my favorite pony ranks, even if she wasn't much in focus this time around. Another event that made me like her even more happened at GalaCon. The amazing Anna Sani was a guest of honor there, Izzy's voice actress. And she caused my highlight of the entire con when telling me she watched my channel. I was barely recognized by people, but then she came along. It was the highlight of my con. And I mentioned that at every opportunity. I am thankful and I hope that you see this since you said you watch my videos and look forward to my thoughts on Chapter 5. I was overwhelmed at the moment, but I had to say it again. But back to what I'm here for. I hope you enjoyed the chapter as much as I did. Is there anything I missed? Let me know in the comments. If you appreciate my work and like my content, you can join my Discord server to never miss anything and interact with me. I would appreciate it if you subscribed and liked the video. This was a lot of work, so support of any kind is greatly appreciated. Especially my patrons, Maverick and Windyberry. It helps motivate me to keep growing with my work and try to spread positivity about G5. And until next time, Philiboni, Spoony fellas, and bye.